In patch 3.0, the Slaanesh roster got hit by a massive nerf, with the Hellstriders being nerfed to the ground and also their physical resistance got cut by half. So the Slaanesh army needs something else to carry the game, and in this battle sent in by Koops with a rather peculiar army, we'll be seeing some of these units. For Koops' frontline here, representing She Who Thirsts, the Exalted Demonids, 3 of them in fact, one of them the Bringers of Beguilement, on the flanks a single Hellstrider supported by a single Fiends of Slaanesh and a single Devoted Marauders of Slaanesh. Same goes for the other flank here, and leading the army would be an Exalted Keepers of Secrets, coming in with Lash of Slaanesh, Acquiescence, the Seductive Glory, as well as Ballet of Blows. On the other side, the Bretonnians are mass-producing peasants, going for 5 peasant mobs in the front line backed up by even more peasants in the form of archers. Protecting the backlines is another bunch of peasants. A bunch of spearmen at arms, some of them with shields, some of them do not. And on each flank, Grail Guardians, Knights of the Realm, same goes for the other side. Leading the army, King Luan Kerr on top of Beaky. Supporting him is a Life Damsel coming in with a few spells including Flesh to Stone, Earth Blood, and Regrowth. That's all for army builds. Now let's get this show on the road. The Slaanesh roster is all about getting in, hitting hard and fast, so they will be rushing straight for the peasant mobs, trying to bust through them and get to the peasant bows, who can be quite threatening to the lightly armored Exalted Demonids with their sheer volume of firepower. As you can see here, even with the physical resistance, the peasant bows are doing some noticeable damage to the Bringers of Beguilement there, a very expensive infantry unit of the Slaanesh roster. Still, once the Demonists get their charge on the peasants, they will destroy all these Bretonnian chaff in no time. As you can see here, all these peasant mobs are breaking just from a few seconds of contact. On the other side, the same thing is happening with peasants routing. Also, the Fiends of Slaanesh are engaging the Grail Guardians one-on-one, doing surprisingly well here with their armor-piercing magic attacks ignoring the Grail Guardians' defenses, and on top of that, soporific musk, counteracting the high stat line of the elite Bretonnian cavalry. Right now, Slaanesh has bust through the first line of Bretonnian defenses, compromising some of the peasant bows, spears, and the Bretonnian cavalry are trying their best to hold back the demons, but unfortunately for them, the Bringers of Beguilement will be joining this fight. This elite infantry threat will be forcing the Bretonnian cavalry to retreat. On the other side, while Grave Guardians are being distracted by the Fiends, Hellstriders have compromised some of these peasant bows, but at least the Knights of the Realm are here to save their peasant subjects. Unfortunately, they cannot stop the Exalted Keeper of Secrets from feasting on the souls of the Spearmen at Arms. King Luan trying to stabilize the situation, fighting through a bunch of Hellstriders, and on the other side, the Grail Guardians as well as some of these Knights of the Realm are still holding back the tide of elite Slaanesh units. While the Grail Guardians are pulling out of the fight, the Knights of the Realm are unfortunately locked in this combat. They have suffered enough damage that the euphoric effect from the Bringers of Beguilement can trigger a rampage on them, and they will be dragged down in this melee grind. Over here, Exalted Demonids have worked through the peasant mobs and are now cleaning up the remaining peasant bows with the help of some devoted Slaanesh marauders. Now that the peasant bows are secured, they will be shooting at the Exalted Keeper of Secrets, doing some nice damage. On the far side, the Fiends have gave the Grail Guardians a run for their money. But with the recent buffs to the Grail Guardians, the Fiends are still no match for these Bretonnian elites. Back to the blob fight on the right, the Grail Guardians have charged in, trying to use their charge bonus and magic attacks to whittle down the Slaanesh demons. But this time, being hit by the Bringers of Beguilement themselves, they are now falling to the rampage of the euphoric effect, being locked down in melee combat. And due to all the melee stat debuffs coming from the Slaanesh units, soporific musk from the Fiends of Slaanesh, and charmed effect coming from the regular Exalted Demonids, their melee stats got lowered down to 29 melee attack and 53 melee defense for a second there. So unfortunately, they're not doing that much damage while taking a lot of losses in return. Some peasants have regrouped and resumed firing, but then a fascination will trigger rampage for them, forcing them to look for a melee fight, silencing them, and more importantly doing damage, draining away their meager HP. Now the Exalted Demonids have established total dominance in the melee fight here, even pushing back some of these expensive Grail Guardians and cleaning up the remaining peasant infantry of the Bretonnian army. A bit of a problem for Koops though, this Exalted Keeper of Secrets has been isolated from the rest of his army. This gives King Luan and the Grail Guardians nearby a perfect opportunity to catch them without any support. The Sword of Corone is activated, dropping the melee defense of the Keeper of Secrets, though the Keeper of Secrets did activate Blade of Blows in return. They're trying to counterpunch, but it takes some time for the ability to be fully charged. Some of the Exalted Daemonids are recharging the Grail Guardians, using this opportunity to drag down the Elite Cavalry, but the Keeper of Secrets is still being heavily damaged by a surround from the Bretonnian units. On the far side, the Bringers of Beguilement and some Fiends are adamantly chasing down the Grail Guardians, perhaps just trying to make sure they do not return to the fight, especially with how strong Grail Guardians are in this patch. If they get a regrowth to top up their HP, they are still a very formidable fighting force. Back to the middle, the Exalted Keeper of Secrets has a lot less HP than last we saw them. Being surrounded by Grail Guardians and King Luan himself really took a heavy toll on the Slaanesh leader, though the Bretonnians are also paying a bloody price as they are being surrounded by Exalted Daemonids and devoted Marauders of Slaanesh themselves. More Exalted Daemonids are also here driving away all these peasant bows with the support of the Hellstriders. A Lash of Slaanesh drops in, doing some minor damage to the peasants. Not sure if it's worth it, but this Exalted Keeper of Secrets do need to use up all her magic before she is dead, because all these Grail Guardians are right behind her back, and with the charge bonus, charge acceleration just might be able to finish her off with the support of some peasant spears. Looks like that is just enough to trigger the Keeper's demonic instability. At the same time, King Luan being left alone is forced to run away from the Daemonids and spears. Good news is that the Keeper of Secrets is dead, but the bad news is that King Luan himself has taken enough damage to be wavering in terms of leadership. Grail Guardians will be charging in, sacrificing their own HP and lives to protect their lord, but oh no, a Fascination locking down King Luan Leonker into combat. The Bretonnian Lord will be charging involuntarily into the super elite armor-piercing magic damage demons. His armor, his physical resistance are all ignored, and his regeneration is not able to keep up with the damage. Fascination and the Rampage effect might be wearing off soon, but it is already too late. More and more Exalted Daemonids and Spears charging in, and King Luan is completely overwhelmed. And there goes King Luan Leonker. On the other side, some Grail Guardians charged straight into the Bringers of Beguilement, but these elite Slaanesh infantry stood firm, dragging down the Grail Guardians while applying Rampage to them. And with King Luan routing the Grail Guardians being finished, there's not much the Bretonnians can do to bring back this battle, and this shall be the victory of the army belonging to She Who Thirsts. First of all, GG to both Coops and Rocket Roll, and big thanks to Coops for sending in this replay. Very nice use of all the rampaging to control the Bretonnians' army. One of the Fiends of Slaanesh went toe-to-toe against the Grail Guardians, but unfortunately got finished off in the end. The other Fiends of Slaanesh did really well. Supported by the Exalted Daemonids, it actually managed to dish out quite a bit of pain against peasants and knights alike. For the carry of this game for the Slaanesh army, the MVP definitely the Exalted Daemonids. Bringers of Beguilement, 1,700 gold, almost 2,000 gold for these Exalted Daemonids, and these guys also getting over 1,200 gold. Basically buzzsawing their way through all these peasants, and when they get their hands on the knights, their armor piercing, high melee stats, and also magic attacks did really well to cut through the heavy armor of the Grail Guardians and Knights of the Realm, and ignore that physical resistance on King Luan Leonker and also the Grail Guardian. For the rest of the army, the devoted Marauders actually survived pretty well, pressuring away a lot of the Bretonnian peasants there. Chasing off the peasants' bows is definitely an important thing to do, while the Hellstriders got sacrificed in the early game there to tie down and shut down all those peasant bows from firing. The Exalted Keeper of Secrets did pretty well, punched back pretty hard against King Luan Leonker, as unfortunately the Bretonnians' king is not exactly the greatest duelist. For the Bretonnians, Rocket Roll here had a valiant attempt to fight back the Slaanesh forces, using the Grail Guardians to tank for ages, holding back the Slaanesh forces and allow the peasant infantry to dish out a little bit more damage, but unfortunately the peasant bowmen mostly got shut down. Some of them did a bit more damage, chipping away the health of the Exalted Keepers of Secret, but the others not so much, being pushed away by the Marauders and Exalted Daemonids. The Knights of the Realm did alright, not the greatest value in the world, while the peasant mobs got absolutely demolished by the superior front line of Slaanesh. King Lunlianker didn't do much damage here, being caught multiple times by the Exalted Keeper of Secret, while the Damsel of Life didn't do much damage either, mostly there to provide healing. That's all for today's battle. I hope viewers you enjoy it, and if you want to see more, be sure to hit the like and subscribe to the channel. If you want to showcase your own replays, feel free to drop by my Discord and send me the replay files. I'll be sure to check them out. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Tactical Lich, signing out.